questions altogether. We don't know. Did she mention in the last few classes? Because I missed last few classes.
I'm not sure about this, Mataji. We can check with her.
Okay. Thank you, Priyanka Mataji.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. Okay. So today we are starting the invocation mantra. Last week we did the introduction to Isopanishad about the Vedas, about how to approach the Vedas, and where is this located in the entire body of knowledge of the Vedas, this Isopanishad. We saw that from last discussion. Today we are going to do the invocation. Invocation mantra is actually the objective of the book. When someone tells us that's why introduction is very important. When we read any book, we need to read the introduction because the author's ideas are presented in the introduction.
Sorry, Mataji, your voice suddenly reduced.
Oh yeah, your sound. Same thing, Priyanka Mataji?
Yeah, I couldn't hear her.
You can't hear me?
No.
It's
It's
very
low,
low.
Mataji. It's very
It's
low.
very low.
Oh.
It was good in the beginning, but
Yeah.
the moment you started invocation mantra, then it gone down, became less.
Is it same?
Not good.
Yes,
Still
Mataji,
less.
still it's low.
Hold on. When we hear the introduction of a book, the author presents all their ideas in that book. So this Isopanishad book is part of the Vedas, right? And it has come upon as a one of the Shruti. Shruti is the one that comes directly from the Lord, and the inclination or the orientation of the Shruti is usually is towards impersonalism because they're very cryptic. The language is very high to understand, and the main that is why Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15 that I am the source of all the Vedic knowledge. I am to be known. So the Vedic knowledge is such that it is very hard to understand by themselves. Very cryptic language. The language is very high. But if you look at the very first verse or any book that you look at, if you look at the beginning of the book, it gives the entire idea of the book. So that's why it's important that we read the introduction. So the rule holds good for this book also, Isopanishad. The very first verse, the invocation that we're going to read today, talks about the Purna Purusha, Purna Purushottam, Lord Shri Krishna. It doesn't necessarily say the name of the Lord or anything, but it points to the idea that the Lord is complete and He is the source. So one that is complete and one that is the source cannot be impersonal. Although the entire book can be interpreted in that way. It can be interpreted with the going towards the orientation of impersonalism. That this is just a light or a Brahma Jyoti, that kind. So the various concepts are also there in the book. But the introduction is where we need to get the idea about. And for that matter, Srila Prabhupada also explains in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita the entire gist of Bhagavad Gita so that we get an idea of what the book is. Instead of going through all the chapters and understanding that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prabhupada summarizes everything in the introduction itself and gives us the gist of the entire Bhagavad Gita and what is essence. And he also summarizes at the end of every purport in every purport also he mentions the whole summary or the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Some people may understand Bhagavad Gita as the Karma Yoga. By reading Bhagavad Gita, one can come to the conclusion that karmani evadhikaryaste ma palishu kadacha. This is what I understood, is what someone can say. Someone can say jnana is the most important thing. But the bhakti towards Lord Sri Krishna is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, is something that Srila Prabhupada, that's why he concludes that in every verse, in every purport, he concludes that. So, in this book also, the introduction or the invocation mantra is such, where it gives the essence of the entire book, that the Lord is complete in himself and everything that is emanating from him is also complete. Okay, so we will talk more about that, but let me share the verse and go from there. So Isopanishad Invocation. I'll recite and then we can read the summary and the purport in the order. Om Purnamadam Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Synonyms: Om, the complete whole; Purnam, perfectly complete; Ada, that; Purnam, perfectly complete; Idam, this phenomenal world; Purnat, from all that; Purnam, complete unit; Udachyate, is produced; Purnasya, the complete whole; Purnam, completely, all; Adaya, having been taken away; Purnam, the complete balance; Eva, even; Abhishishyate is remaining. Translation: the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. We can take turns to recite this verse because it's very auspicious to recite this verse because of how it is. Anyone wants to attempt?
Yeah, Mataji, I can try.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you
Om.
want to repeat? Or you
Yes,
want?
Mataji.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnameva Vashishyate.
Purnameva Vashishyate.
Yashita, would you like to recite?
Yes, Mataji.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Om Purnam Adaha Purnam Idam
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnat Purnam Udachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnasya Purnam Adaya
Purnameva Vashishyate.
Purnam Eva Vashishyate.
Madhula Mataji. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Can't hear you.
Hare. Hello.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, we can't hear you. You're breaking. Shakti Mataji. Om Purnamada Purnamidam.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate.
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya.
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnameva Vashishyate.
Purnam Eva Vashishyate.
Narayan.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam.
O Purnamada Purnamidam
पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
Purnat Purnamudachyate
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय
Purnasya Purnamadaya
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते.
Purnameva Vaishishyate.
Krishnavtari Prabhu, you want to do it on your own? Can you try?
Sure, Mataji. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Dachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate.
Thank you. Srinivas Prabhu.
Om Purnam Adah Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate.
Okay. Mutula, we cannot hear you, so
Can you hear me now, Mataji?
yeah, it's feeble though. Om
Okay.
Purnamada Purnamidam
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnat Udachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnamevavashishyate.
Purnameva Vashishyate.
Okay. I think we'll pause for that. We'll continue. So, what this verse in essence mean is that the Supreme Lord, we will go to translation again. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because He is completely perfect, all emanations from Him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because He is a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from Him, He remains the complete balance. So, this goes with the absolute theory. Absolute theory is 1 plus 1 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 1 multiplied by 1 is 1, and 1 divided by 1 is 1. So it is that, like, the absolute truth is complete in itself, and whatever comes out of the absolute truth, they are also complete units. From Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we know that this material world is the emanation from Lord Mahapurusha, Mahavishnu's body. The multiple millions of universes are coming out of his body. And each body is equipped such way it is self-sustaining. There's no one producing, like in the morning, sun is not asked to come up and then do his duty. And trees are not asked to just grow. Someone is not telling them. They're doing everything on their own. The world is conducting on its own, and it is self-sustaining. And Lord Brahma, when he creates this universe, he's only creating he is whatever is blueprint created by Lord Vishnu, he is recreating it. That is why it is called Visarga, not Sarga. Sarga happens by the Lord creation. Visarga means recreation. That happens by Lord Brahma. He is not creating anything. He is just arranging things in a way that can fall in place. And once he is created, he is also not monitoring it like 24/7, like someone has to monitor something. It's self-sustaining. That means whatever comes from the Supreme Lord is all complete by in itself. It produces everything perfectly for its sustenance, for its maintenance, its growth, as well as its destruction. Everything is there in it. Look at this world. Like everything produces, everything is in order. Although the human race has created so much of chaos in the world, but if you look at, there is so much of orderliness in everything that is happening around the world. How things manifest, how in the early morning, if you look at the early morning, it's so peaceful, right? Through the day, it becomes very chaotic and very like mode of passion comes up. But in the morning, so who has made this order? Do we even think about it? So it's all perfectly. So the human the progeny that happens in this world is also complete, right? So the life is self-sustaining. The universe happens on its own because the species keep continuing multiplying themselves, and that's the part of the sustenance. It happens, and each one is a complete unit by themselves. If you look at a plant, and all you have to do is water it when it is very small, but after that it is self-sustaining, and what it produces is um, so many seeds, and each seed has a capacity to produce a tree, a similar tree, and multiple such trees. So is the beginning tree became less in any way by producing so many seeds? The first tree, has it become less? No, everything is complete in itself, and it has produced a one complete whole unit, which will can produce more complete such units as it goes. It's phenomenal. It's like, to understand that a small seed can produce billions of such seeds, and each seed has a capacity to produce one whole unit, which can produce similar such billions of units. So this is the arrangement of the Lord, and it is coming from the most complete person, and that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's so complete, everything that comes out of him is complete, and he remains complete also. The example we can see in the trees in this world. Even and everything that is required for it to produce is also available. Nobody has to do anything extraneously. For example, as soon as a small child is born, as soon as a child is born, he comes with the food in the world, because the child doesn't have teeth, but his food is made even before he is entering into the world. The mother's breast milk has got all that food that is required for the sustenance of the baby. So that is how the arrangement of the Lord is. And he has to be a complete person. He cannot be anything less than a complete person and more. He has to be a more complete and most complete person. So, and if you look at each and every one of us are also complete units, because each and every one can produce something, because it is coming from the Supreme Lord who is coming, who's the most complete person. And because we are in the purport, we'll go through what Prabhupada very beautifully coins certain statements, like you can take them and memorize that statement as well. All this we experience incompleteness. Even though we are complete units, we experience incompleteness. That is because we are disconnected from the complete whole. The examples of our quotes is that of a hand. The hand is complete, or it does its function very well when it is attached to the body. And when the hand is cut off from the body, it's done. It's cut off. It is incomplete. I mean, it's useless basically. But when it is attached to the body, it is complete and it does its functions very well. So similarly, we experience incompleteness in our lives only because of our disconnection from the Lord, from the complete whole. And because we have the tendency to be complete or experience that completeness, what are some of the things that we tend to do to experience the completeness? Can anybody give some ideas? If you are unable to understand what I'm trying to tell.
Oh, Hare Krishna Mataji. I think to feel complete, we try to chase things, money, and I think money is the most important one, which we feel that if we get the money, we will feel complete because we will be able to fulfill our desires. So that's one example of what we try to do to feel
Yeah.
complete.
Yeah. Yes.
Mataji,
Yeah.
for me, I find that I try to, I don't chase it, but I actively study. I'm studying, studying, studying so that I can learn, because I want to feel, that to me makes me feel like I'll feel smart, I'll feel whole.
Yes. Okay. So that also is coming from that we miss something, so we want to try to fulfill it somehow, like, which is doubtailing our tendency, which is very good. When we doubtail it, it is very good. But if we keep it separate, like money, if we get it and if we want to use it in the service of the Lord, then it becomes complete and you're doubtailing it. That is a later on thing that comes up. But initially, any other examples anyone wants to quote, Debbie?
Could we say also family as well? Whether you want your family to be in a certain condition in life, you want your family to expand, and sometimes you feel like it's only when you have this vision for your family, it's fulfilled, that's when you'll feel complete, but you're never satisfied. You're always
Yeah,
hankering for a better way to
because that
have your
will
family
add
well
more,
settled.
yeah, that will add more things, more complexities, and it will create more hankerings. Then we feel that, okay, maybe after this we'll feel complete. But then that is, we're only chasing the mirage. Another example is we want to become, we express ourselves in terms of creativity. Many people have artistic tendencies, so they express themselves because they want to feel that they have the tendency and they want to express it so that they can feel complete. We all have small minute things in us to make us feel that, because we are disconnected from the whole complete truth. That's why we have this tendency to keep chasing that. And connections, we want to have connections with the people, relationships, which is important, so we feel connected, which is we feel complete. But the problem with the relationships that we have, or what we experience mostly, because we are incomplete, we express or we expect the other person that enters in our life is complete, so that my gap is fulfilled by the other person, right? That is the problem for having the relationship issues, because we feel we are not complete and we expect the other person to complete that, to make that fulfillment of that completeness, what we are lacking, which is very incorrect, which is very unrealistic, not unrealistic, which is what we are trying to do, but it is undue expectation of the other person. Instead, what we all can pursue is we all can become complete. And when two individual persons who are complete, they come together, you look at how much that equation expands. They become two full complete units in service. Whereas if you are half and you expect the other person who is also half or even less, you expect the other person to become your other half, then it becomes such undue. So the idea is that we all are complete units in ourselves when we attach to the Supreme Lord who is whole complete. That means the bottom line of the entire thing, or what you're trying to arrive, and what Srila Prabhupada is also going to tell us, is that we need to revive our original Krishna consciousness. Only by that process can we experience the completeness. When each one of us do this, when we experience ourselves completeness from within ourselves, we don't have such expectation from the others, because we know that we are complete and we are satisfied with ourselves, and we expect nothing out of the other relationship, except for that, because we have to have relationships in this world, we only come together in the for the sake of service rather than for any fulfillment of our personal desires. If that can happen, then these two complete units are coming together, then you can see how much the service expands. So that's what it is. Questions, Shakti Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. So is it like when one a Shiksha guru of mine was saying, is that you don't feel like you're enough because we forgot that we have our super soul, the Atma inside of us, Krishna, because we are part and parcel of him, but we forgot. So because we forgot, we don't feel like we're enough. And so we go hankering for all these things. Is that kind of what?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
But we
Mataji.
need to revive our original consciousness so that we can feel complete by ourselves, because we are whole one unit, fully capable of uh, become becoming delivered. Because we are complete, when we experience the completeness of the Lord, we can be delivered also, right? That is the capacity that each one of us hold, that we can be complete and become delivered. Because we are not complete, we still continuing the life after life here. Yeah, Palak.
So, Mataji, extrapolating the feeling of completeness and using relationships, right? So, we try to feel complete through our relationships. I understand when we apply it to our external relationships, uh, when it is outside of our parents. But however, we still try to feel complete with our parents, right? I have a mother, I have a father, right? And in a way, they complete us too. The moment we are come to earth, we are tied in the relationship. So the question here is that how do we treat our relationship with our parents in terms of this feeling complete and thinking that do we really need them, or are we just trying to fill a gap? It's
As,
difficult to see it there.
as a child, the the perfect feeling or the true love that can be experienced in this world, Prabhupada quotes in many purports that as the mother's love for a newborn child. That too, a newborn child. The baby is so dependent on the mother, that is
Mm,
when the true love manifests in the mother, in the parent. So that's closest to the true love that what Prabhupada explains, right, which is in the spiritual. But as the baby grows, there will be expectations, right? The baby becomes an adult. The adult has to take care of me, give me some name, fame, some whatever. That
mm,
expectation comes. So then there is no. So we are trying to fulfill some again some desire. We want to. It's there is expectation. There is a
mm,
give and take somehow coming in. So if
mm,
you feel complete with your parents, then that's perfect. If you can only be reliant on your parents' relationship and feel complete, there's no harm in it if you can experience that. But are you
mm,
experiencing the whole completeness just being
mm,
in a relationship with your parents? That is a question for yourself. It's
mm,
not wrong. If you can feel complete, I don't need anything else other than this relationship, then it's fine. But when we go hanker for things, establishing ourselves, and then because we want more and more. But the idea is that we need to become satisfied in whatever we have, and that is when we only revive our Krishna consciousness.
mm. I think there's something to think about, Nataji. I'll think about. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, all these are uh, last week's. We will come to that conversation of the exercise that we had to do last week. I have not forgotten, but I didn't start with that. Okay, so let's read. Mridula, you have a question?
On the previous conversation only, Mataji, for me, I was just thinking like, with our parents, right? As like Mataji was saying, we do have the deepest connections. But let's say when we have some conversation and sometimes we don't agree, right? Now we are like we have our own kind of idea sometimes. And if they say something which we don't agree, then we feel kind of hurt that they don't understand, right? Then for something. So I think when we are hurt, we feel that again, we are having expectations and we are getting hurt at some point or they feel hurt. So here the idea is with whom we never feel hurt and whatever we kind of they understand is Paramatma. So is that kind of thing, because with every other person at some point you will have kind of a what I'll say, uh there's some friction, right? When at least at something you might not agree.
Yes,
There's
yeah,
there's nobody, like even people who have like husband and wife who have lived for 30 years, at some point they will have something that they don't agree and they'll feel bad. Oh, we don't agree on this, and you feel hurt that. So it's kind of expectation, and that kind of binds us back.
right. Yeah. So you're trying to understand this.
Yeah, Mataji. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So let's read the purport and see how it flows. The purport is short, but it's loaded. Uh, you want to read, Mridula?
Yeah, Mataji, I can read. The complete whole or the supreme absolute truth is the complete personality of Godhead. Realization of impersonal Brahman or of Paramatma, the Supersoul, is incomplete realization of the absolute complete. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Satchidananda Vigraha. Realization of impersonal Brahman is realization of his Sat feature or his aspect of eternity, and Paramatma realization is realization of his Sat and Chit features, his aspects of eternity and knowledge. But realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all the transcendental features, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, bliss. When one realizes the Supreme Person, he realizes these aspects of the Absolute Truth in their completeness. Vigraha means form, thus, the complete whole is not formless. If he were formless, or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience. Otherwise, he cannot be complete. The complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense
Just we'll pause. So the complete whole, Prabhupada starts off with explaining the absolute truth in the three forms, which is Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat is the truth, which is impersonal realization, the Brahma Jyoti realization. If someone has, it's absolute truth. Fine. But then there is Chit also, which is the knowledge that comes from the Paramatma realization. But it is whole complete only when you have experienced the bliss, which is the Ananda. And that comes from understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Satchidananda Vigraha, the absolute truth. Vigraha means, in that statement itself, it is said there is a form. That means he is not formless. Then if he is, so this book, as we said, is trying to beat the impersonal concept, right? One is that, and Supreme Lord is not an impersonal, he is a personal, he is a person, absolute truth, Satchidananda Vigraha. So the Vigraha, whenever it comes reference to the Vigraha, it means there is a form. So it is not formless. So how can a form, we have a form, how can a form come from a formless? Then that means there is a limitation. So that cannot be true. Therefore, if we were, he is not complete in that case. So the complete whole must contain everything from both within and beyond our experience. So whatever we experience is this. But in order for something to be better than us, it has to be more qualified and more features than us what we have, right? So he has to be beyond our experience also, which we have to realize. Otherwise, it cannot be complete. Yeah, there are some, and coming up with that was with the realization of the complete whole. Now he explains that with the potencies that we have in the universe. So this paragraph talks about the potencies. Okay, let's read. Shakti Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji. The complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense potencies, all of which are as complete as he is. Thus, this phenomenal world is also complete in itself. The 24-hour elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation are arranged to produce everything necessary for the maintenance and substance of this universe. No other unit in the universe need make an extraneous effort to try to maintain the universe. The universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole. And when that schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. Shall I pause?
Yeah, pause. At every paragraph, let's pause. So this whole, the potencies that are there, or this material world which is created by the 24 elements that we read in the Bhagavad Gita also. If anybody would like to recollect them. Anybody? The 24 material elements?
Five.
Class.
Yashita,
No,
okay.
you go ahead, Mataji.
Yashita, you fill in where I leave off. So,
I
five,
also don't remember completely, yeah, but
five elements: earth, air, water, ether, and fire. Five senses: touch, smell, vision, sight.
Sound.
What am I missing?
Subtle ones? The subtle
Tongue.
ones?
Yeah. Yes. And then five senses: nose, ears, eyes, tongue, and sorry, tongue and skin. So
skin,
that's
skin.
15. And working senses: karmendriya, hands, legs, arms,
Voice,
genitals, and anus. And what am I missing, Yashita? Subtle ones, yeah. Mind.
mind, intelligence, also.
Bhukirapo nalo vayu, kammano buddhirevacha, ahankara itiyame binna prakritas. That was the 7-4, which had completed 8 in it already. And then your other 15 that you said, right? Karmendriyas, Gyanendriyas, and the Tanmatras are 15. 15 plus 8, 23.
23.
What is that last one?
And the last one is either time or soul.
All
False
this.
ego.
Did you say the
Pradhana.
Mahatattva as well? Pradhana.
Pradhana. Yes.
See, this number keeps changing in different places. Here it is 24, so let's stick to 24. Otherwise, it says 26, which has the Mahatattva, Pradhana, and the soul that comes added. So it number changes. So anyway, the basics we got, right? The five material elements, material gross elements, material subtle elements, sense organs, sense objects, and working senses, along with the falsity. That comes to 24. So these elements create this universe, and it is it's a temporary arrangement, and it is sustaining on its own, like we just said. There is a time factor when it started to when it is created. It is the time is also fixed when it will be destroyed. We know it is 312 trillion and 40 billion, right, or 80 billion years of Lord Brahma. So at the end of his life, this universe also will be annihilated. It goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. So that time is, so everything is happening as per the time factor from the beginning till the end. So that means it is complete. Nobody is operating it. No technician is coming and switching off the switching off some plugs here and there, attaching something, or switching off the switching on and off. Nobody is doing that. It is all autopilot mode it is running. So that is this particular one. Now he is talking about the facilities that he has created for the living entities. So let's read. Priyanka, all facilities.
Yes, Madhuri. All facilities were given to the small complete units, namely the living beings, to enable them to realize the complete whole. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. The human form of life is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of the living being, and it is absorbed after evolving 8.4 lakh species of life in the cycle of birth and death. If in this human life of full consciousness, the living entity does not realize his completeness in relation to the complete whole, he loses the chance to realize his completeness and is again put into the evolutionary cycle by the law of material nature.
Okay. Now here he is talking about the living entities, how they are also complete units, and they are given all the facilities by the, what are the facilities that we have to realize the complete whole? We have the human birth to start off, and then we have our field of activity, which is our life and our body, and the surroundings that we have, as well as Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra that is given to us, so that we can enable ourselves to realize the complete whole. So all this statement, all forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. This is such a perfect statement that Prabhupada has come up with. All that can be summarized in this one statement. What we are experiencing is because all forms of incompleteness are experienced due to the incomplete knowledge. So we have to get our knowledge completed so that we can experience the complete whole. And this is the human life, which is very perfectly given to us. And in this life, if we can come to that consciousness and make our life complete, then we will not have to go through this many number of species again, because we have already traversed those species and come up to this point. And if we miss this chance, then who knows if we have to go back into this number of species. We may or we may not, but then there is a probability that evolutionary cycle we have to go through. So we can avoid all that. We don't have to see the destruction of the universe. If we can complete our we can gain the complete knowledge of the Supreme Lord and go back to Godhead. We don't have to see the destruction that happens at the end of this at the end of the life of Brahma. So that is a facility that is completely available for everyone. Okay, let's read. Debbie, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji. Continuing from because.
Yeah.
Because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. Because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole, the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. The hand of a body is a complete unit only as long as it is attached to the complete body. When the hand is severed from the body, it may appear like a hand, but it is actually has none of the potencies of a hand. Similarly, living beings are part and parcel of the complete whole, and if they are severed from the complete whole, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the same point, how we do not know that there is complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create so-called enjoyment. Because there is everything is available, but since we are not aware of that, no knowledge of it, we want to get more somehow and enjoy something. So that's why there is so-called we are trying to pursue that so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. But if we can dovetail everything that we have with the complete whole, the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion, will come to that understanding. Example of that of a hand severed from the body. And hand can be best served by when it is attached to the body rather than when it is cut off from the body. It's an analogy. Analogies have their limitations. So just to understand the point, right? Okay, I think you're in. Okay, someone read?
I can read it, Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
The completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. All services in this world, whether social, political, communal, international, or even interplanetary, will remain incomplete until they are dovetailed with the complete whole. When everything is dovetailed with the complete whole, the attached parts and parcels also become complete in themselves.
Yeah. So not even living interplanetary, like that's beyond our scope. Prabhupada is, because he is an interplanetary person, so he's able to relate it so nicely and keep it here. But for us, it's social, political, communal, international, and even interplanetary will remain incomplete until we dovetail everything in the service of the Lord with the complete whole. So such a poetic verse and such a poetic purport also what Prabhupada has given us. So this is the first verse. If we have questions, we'll go through, but I want to project the chapters, the verses, the overview of Isopanishad now. So the Isopanishad overview is such that we finished the introduction, which is the definition of the Veda, and need to take guidance on the Vedas. So better to accept, last week we heard that just to accept the Vedas, whatever is given, so we'll reduce all that effort of going through proving everything and coming to the same point again after a long process. Best is to accept them, and then it becomes easier for us to understand it. So that's, and it is part of the Shruti, this particular literature. The invocation, which is where this book, the objective of the book is that the Lord is complete and the source of unlimited complete units is also a source of the unlimited complete units. That we just went through the purport. The mantras 1 to 3, they talk about the proprietorship of the Lord. Ishavasha principle comes in the next first verse, first mantra. Proprietorship of the Lord and living in harmony with the Lord. What are the benefits? Second verse tells. And what are the negative effects if we don't do that? 1, 2, 3 mantras. What is the philosophy of proprietorship of the Lord? The Ishavasha principle. And what are the benefits and what are the negative effects if we don't do that? That's mantras 1 to 3. 4 to 8 mantras are the vision of the Mahabhagavat. Mahabhagavat is a supreme, as a devotee who has understood and how he looks at the world. His vision is what these verses 4 to 8 describe. And the mantras, 9, this is called mantras, because they are like mantras. Like when you say Om, it's starting with anything with Om, it's a mantra. So that's why they are called as mantras. 9 to 11 has complete knowledge and nations and the respective destinations for the followers of each. So in order for us to know the knowledge, we also need to know what is not knowledge. And that is nations. So in fact, Brahma, when he created the universe, he first created the nations. And he created that so that you can appreciate the knowledge later on that he is going to create. If you read Bhagavatam, Canto 2, I don't remember the verse and the chapter, but I'll try to post that after this. Brahma first created the nations so that, because first thing he created is the nations only, followed by that only everything came. So that you can appreciate. When you read Bhagavatam, you know why he did that. But then one has to know both. In order to appreciate light, we need to have some darkness. So then we can appreciate the light. Right? That's why in order to appreciate the knowledge, we should know what is nations. That's why that comparison is important. And what are the different destinations for each followers of the knowledge as well as nations. Okay? Yeah, that is 8, 9 to 11. And mantras 12 to 14 explain the worship of the relative and absolute. The absolute truth and the relative truth is when people worship or are followers of that. That is described in verses 12 to 14, followed by the prayers. Prayers are the revelation of the Lord's spiritual form and mercy at the time of death. Very important verse, last verses, where some practical applications we can also see. Yeah, that is 15 to 18. This is the overview. I can share this with you all in our group so that you have a context. It is also there in the handbook. People who are referring to handbook can also go through that. Yeah. So next week, this Saturday we will not have class, but we will do the class on Sunday with the mantra 1. Now we will go through any questions that we have or any discussions and also see what was the homework that we had last week and anybody had a chance to do the homework. Okay. Priyanka, you have a question?
Mataji, just a question with what we read. So it said that if we do not have the full realization in this human form of life, we may then go through all the 84 lakh species again. But it is also said that our spiritual credits are continued. In the next life, we continue where we left off from. So it's a little blaring there. How is it that we continue?
See, that's why I said we may or we may not have to go through. We may continue in the human form of life for
Mhm.
eternity also. But we have come through all those species to
Yeah.
this point. Unless we are the eternal associates of the Lord, we didn't have to go through all those forms. We directly have come from some demigod to this human life, if we were that. But then otherwise, all living entities go through that 84 lakh species. But that's like if we don't make and do some sinful activity where, lose a chance of becoming a human in the next life, then there's no karma, then the evolution process starts. Process of evolution, right? As soon as an animal is born, he will probably not come to the human life as soon as that, because he has to go through the evolutionary cycle from one species to the next and so on. So that's a very big loss. Yeah. Right. You had
Mataji, yeah, I have a couple questions here. So question one, I think it can be a follow-up to what Priyanka Mataji asked, is we need to have full realization. And I feel to have full realization, you need to have full knowledge, right? So I want to understand how do you mark this full knowledge that now I have full knowledge? What do you need to know to get that full knowledge?
okay. So this book, like I said, Prabhupada has translated for few things. One is to establish the Supreme Lord is the Brahman, or the Supreme Lord is the Absolute Truth, is the Bhagavan, that one. And he wanted to establish himself as an Acharya, because Acharyas write the commentary on the Vedas. And the thirdly, it is to, firstly is to refute the impersonal philosophy, secondly is to establish his position as Acharya, thirdly is to have greater acceptance for Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? These are the objectives. Now, is this our book to go through for our rest of our life? This is one of the books of Bhakti Shastra, so that we can understand what is in relation between, or the relativity from impersonal to personal, like how you can relate and how you can, because Prabhupada wrote and he has made this as a book for us to read, we are reading it. But if you have to generally read, this might not be the book that will pick up and make that as a life goal to read it and understand it, right? Our knowledge comes from our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is our abhideya knowledge. We have to apply the knowledge that's coming from there, right? Our Sambandha Jnana is coming from all these books, but Abhideya and then Prayojana. We have other more greater books that we have to learn and apply them. So our knowledge comes from that. We keep applying the process. We don't just get stuck with this knowledge that we are getting. It's a phenomenal knowledge, we are getting it. But then our application is where our other knowledge that we have gained so far from different reading, different books. Bhagavad Gita. What is the essence of Bhagavad Gita? What is the final conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, Sarvadharmana Parityajya Mamekam Sharanamaja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshesham. So surrender unto me. And then he is given various other instructions. Always remember me, never forget me. That Manmana Bhavakto Madhyajima Manamaskaru. So those are the teachings that we need to continue to apply ourselves to, and then get that. That knowledge will be revealed. Again, the knowledge is descending, it reveals. The coverings in the heart will be opened up. All the piercings will happen. The knowledge will be revealed. So slowly that process will start. This is one of the books that he has written and translated, and we are trying to get that relative knowledge between the direct bhakti books compared to the this philosophical book. I hope it made any sense there.
So I'll just summarize what I understood, and maybe you can help me fill the gap. So I understood that we start from Bhagavad Gita and we do Srimad Bhagavatam. And then once you understand and you read these books, the next step is application of these books, right? And then so application is a lifelong process. So you cannot say, okay, I'm done applying. So that will keep on going, right? So once you're done Bhagavatam, to what extent do you go? That's what meant, because I was attending this lecture where somebody was telling that if you actually intend to read all the Vedas, Rig Veda, Samveda, and everything, the number of verses there are, and even if you target XYZ mantras or verses every day, even then you cannot finish reading these scriptures in our current lifetime, which is of approximately whatever 80 to 100 years, right? That's what we get. So, I mean, so do we say that if we have not understood these books, it's not complete knowledge and there's something remaining?
Essence is, we also discussed that after writing the Vedas, Vyasadeva also wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Amala Purana, the topmost Purana. So he said, like we discussed that, like the Puranas that he wrote, mode of goodness, passion, in ignorance, what did he mention in those? You do this yajna or you will get a pious result, so that you can enjoy the life in the upper planetary systems, which is again bound to keep us in the cycle of birth, death, and death. So that's what most of the mode of goodness books encourage us. Mode of passion also, like, do this, you'll get some enjoyment, you'll have so many lifetimes, so many women, men you'll have wine, whatever enjoyment in the passion. And ignorance, of course, they'll get some extra power, so you can attack this species and gain their power. So what all these shastras tell, I don't know, but I'm just thinking in that sense, in that way. But if you get, so what is the essence of all this? Then that's why he was disheartened when he wrote all these Vedas. That's why his spiritual master appeared right on the scene and told him that, why are you sad? Then he said, I am sad. Then he understood. Spiritual master understood and told him, that is because you have not written the essence. You have given the license for the people to enjoy. You have authorized it, that it is okay to enjoy, and you authorize it in your books. So people naturally have the tendency, they'll naturally adopt to that process. So they will never come out of the birth and death cycle. That's why he wrote. Then I said, right, sit down and meditate. Then you will see what in your vision, then accordingly write. Then he gave them empowerment, he gave them the knowledge, he gave them the instruction. Then he sat and he wrote. He sat and meditated.
Hmm.
In that meditation, what did he experience? He experienced Krishna and his associates and all the spiritual world, as well as the phenomenal world that people are
Mhm.
experiencing, which is full of suffering.
Mhm.
To experience
Yeah.
these contrasts, and then he expanded the Bhagavatam and made it as the Amala Purana. That is,
Mm.
and this Amala Purana is the Vedanta Sutra. That's what
Mm.
it is called. It's the sutras, the aphorisms, whatever instructions that you have in the Bhagavatam are the essence of each Veda, probably, or each chapter in a Veda. So you don't have to go through all that. If you read Bhagavatam, you are already doing everything.
Mm. So, so something, and this might not be a question, Mataji, but just a realization from what you said and a thought in my mind. Even Ved Vyas had to write first the four Vedas and go through that experience to realize that this is not enough. I need to write the essence. We, being humans, right? So it's the same thing. When we are kids, our elders keep telling us, don't do this, do that. And we are like, no, let us do our own mistakes. Let us learn, right? And then we probably come to the same conclusion, right? But we take all the time, maybe 10 years to make mistakes so that now we finally get that lesson. So when it comes to such big realizations of life, for example, when we ask someone to put faith in Vedas, right? It is, I feel, equally difficult to do that because per human nature, you want to do your own mistakes and then learn rather than when somebody just tells you, just listen to me, this is what it is, right? This makes this entire process so difficult and also suffocating at a point that what is happening? I'm stuck in the loop of the life. I can never get to this because I'm also conditioned for this society. Even whatever effort I may do, I'm still part of the society, right? I am living in this capitalistic society in which I need to work hard to even make a living, just to, yeah, just a realization.
We need the mercy. That's why we need the mercy. We cannot do on our own.
Mm,
We need the mercy.
mm,
And that's why we
right.
need to be dependent. We are thinking we are doing on our own. We are thinking we want to do on our own. But the point is we cannot do on our own. We need the mercy.
Mm,
So that's the process of surrender. We need to surrender that I cannot do. Please help. Although I have to do, my duties are here, I have to do. But realizing you, it's not my thing. I cannot. I have no capacity. I have
yeah,
to depend on me.
right. Correct. And um, so thank you for saying the mercy piece. I think that's something that I was missing. And I do understand for mercy, you need to surrender. That kind of closes the loop. So now I'm going to jump to my second question, but I think my one question took a lot of time, so I'll let anyone else ask the question if they have, and then I can take my question.
Looks like everyone is looking forward for your question. Anybody has questions? Then they're not lifting their hands.
I just have a small realization, but that's not related to what Palak Mataji is saying. So I let her continue because otherwise mine will go tangential.
Okay, Mataji. Cool. So, so next, I think in the second last paragraph, the first statement is because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance. How do we know this? I understand there is complete arrangement. I see it, but it's my personal opinion that capitalism has rigged it and made us feel like there is not enough, right? And I think that is where the point comes that how do you tell a poor person that there is enough for your maintenance in the nature because he'll be like, where is it? I don't see it. I have to work hard. I have to spend my entire day. How do you, how do you, how do you tell a poor person that there is enough? There is enough for your maintenance in the nature because he'll be like, where is it? I don't see it. I have to work hard. I have to spend my entire day. How do you? 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 How do you I mean, I kind of understand it, but even even though I understand it theoretically, it's very difficult when I'm into my things. So, for example, the economy is bad. I do want my job to be stable, right? It's not like don't want my job to be stable so that it can pay for what I need. I cannot sit and think there is enough for me in the nature, right? It will provide. It's just very difficult, and it's very difficult to believe in this statement in today's time when we are living in capitalistic society. So how do we understand this in this particular time when everything is capitalistic and it's not easy to get rid of it?
Who's providing you all that you're getting? Your job or someone else? Who's giving you all this? If you're thinking that I am doing it, so I am getting it. If I don't do, I will not get. Which is important that we have to do our duty, because nowhere it is said that don't do your duty, so you'll be provided it. That's not the point. Even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, do your duty to get your results of enjoying the cap or the as a kingdom. So everywhere we have to do our duty. But if we are solely dependent that only my work is getting me this, then it's a mindset. Rather than anything else that we have to do with Krishna consciousness, we don't have to do anything. All we have to adjust is our mindset. We just have to continue to do what we are doing with the mindset that I am not the doer. I am an instrument being put here to do my job. I'm not the doer. If we can get that, nothing else has to change. You continue to do duty, then followed by that will come the satisfaction of the mind. Satisfaction of the mind is a virtue.
Mm.
Is by mode of goodness, comes in Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter, right? It is very important that we need to develop that virtue, satisfaction. So
Mm.
where if you're not, then you'll keep hankering. I am the doer, I'll keep hankering to get more, thinking that we are the doers. So this is something that we need to realize, that this is not me. I'm an instrument. Okay,
Nice.
so this is the hardest thing that all have to learn in a harder way. There's no easy routes. We
That's
have to
true,
learn,
Mataji.
keep reminding ourselves. That's it. We have to. That's why you need to practice that Bhuta Shuddhi prayer. There is a Bhuta Shuddhi prayer that we have, which is Naham. Anybody remembers? नाहम विप्रो नानाचलपतिर नपि वैश्यो न शूद्रो नाहम वर्णी च नग्रहपतिर्वो वनस्थो गतिर्वो किंतु प्रोदय निखिल परमानंद पूर्णामृतब्धेर गोपी भर्तु पद कमलयोर दास दास दासावदास. I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Kshatriya, I am not a Vaishya or a Shudra, nor am a Brahmachari, a Vanaprastha, sannyasi or a sannyasi. I am only a servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, who is the maintainer of the gopis. This is our statement. This is, if we can remember, practice and live this statement, nothing else has to change. We need to continue to what we are doing with this mindset. It's a mindset change only.
Right, Mataji. And I think something that I realize that I think we learned all of this in Bhagavad Gita, and it's nothing new. It's again about the application piece. And I feel the second thing is that I don't know if everyone feels this or is it just me. There are phases in life. Maybe for the first couple of months, I'll be feeling, yeah, yeah, this is it. You surrender, everything is being provided. And then maybe in the later half, I will myself forget it. And I'll be like, what is happening? Right? I don't know if it happens with everybody. How do you stay in touch with the message? How do you remind yourself of it every day?
Remind is reading Shastra every day,
Mm,
doing our Shastric reading. Do we read Shastra every day, all of us?
yes, Mataji, we try.
How much time?
I think 30 minutes, at least for me, 30 minutes to 45 minutes for sure. Start day with that. But I think even though we do that, I think it's also about what you read in that day, right? Sometime it will be some story in Bhagavatam on which we are reading, we are listening to a lecture, right? It might not speak to all the philosophies, it will just speak to that particular instance. So again, the message is lost. So that because Shastra is also so deep, right? So I do see your point. I think we have to come up with a system for ourselves on how we remind ourselves of the core messages versus, yes, you do keep Shastra reading, but uh, I feel in that one verse or two verse that you will read, it will not be a very firm reminder of this is what it is, right? For example, what you said. So I feel, at least this is my takeaway for myself that I need to come up with a system that it's an everyday reminder, even
Yeah.
though I'm reading Shastra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we can come up with some shastra, some verses that are actually giving us the realization of our position. Whatever
Mhm,
you did so far, make a note of all the verses and
mhm,
read those verses every day. So that is a
mhm.
reminder. Although you read the other shastras, which is as part of your regular study, but
Yeah,
then these also. So there's a lot of things that we can do. Read, recite bhajans. Bhajans have got the essence of all the Vedas.
yeah,
Read the bhajans or
yeah.
bhajans, I mean to say, recite the prayers of
Mm-hmm.
so Bhagavatam is full of prayers, like some
Yeah,
personal prayer, like that.
right.
Read
Mataji
Shastra
Ali?
sometime. I'm asking a question now. Everyone read Shastra for certain time in the day.
Try to, Mataji.
Yeah,
Does attending a class also count as reading?
that is Shravanam.
But
Kirtan is what you have to read.
reading along with attending. So there's a Bhagavatam class where the Prabhuji goes through a verse. So we are reading it as well as listening. Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope I'm not getting responses, but then it's important that we read at least a minimum 15 minutes of Shastra, if not more. The time doesn't permit. But reading Shastra is very important, along with chanting. Yeah, every day we have to read. Every day. Not even a day should pass without reading Shastra. For 15 minutes. You can put a timer and read. Even 5 minutes. If it's too busy that you cannot do. You can utilize any time that you have at your disposal. Traveling time, um, whatever time. Traveling time is the only time where you don't do anything. But other than that, if you're traveling by public transportation, that too. But then you have to read Shastra every day.
Does Krishna book also come under Shastra?
Yes.
Okay. Mataji, I've had a realization. It's very basic, but some things just click. You know, Prabhupada, I realized that Prabhupada has been so precise in calling Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He didn't call him God. He didn't call him Supreme Person. He didn't call him Supreme God because all those could be misinterpreted by different kinds of people. So he called him very specifically Supreme, the ultimate personality with a form of Godhead, of all the gods that you may believe in, he's the supreme personality. So it's like, wow, Prabhupada was so,
Tiny realization is a perfect realization.
I thought it was so basic. I should have known it a long time ago, but it just clicked now.
No, Shalini, sorry, Mataji, but that's what a beautiful realization. It really is.
It
Ah,
is not basic
it's not
realization.
basic at all. Beautiful. Thank you for
So
sharing.
whatever Prabhupada writes, it's each and every word is so deep that if we don't spend time, assimilating it, thinking about it, we can lose the entire meaning very easily.
Correct. Yeah. That's why acceptance. Acceptance comes first. Accept. Once you have accepted, half of the battle is already you have won it. The remaining half is when it reveals itself to you, you'll get it. So that's why, like, if you go with a challenge, like, I don't want to accept unless it is proved to me, then that is where the problem comes. Acceptance comes first. If you can accept it, followed by the revelation happens. Slowly, revelation is like that's the descending mercy, that's the descending knowledge. Knowledge has to descend. If you don't accept, it becomes ascent. Like, I want to prove it to see it. Like in the last, like I was basic Our senses are imperfect. We cannot see what's behind us. What can we see the knowledge? How can we see the Lord? Right? So,
And Prabhupada is the bridge for that because I'll be frank, when I started listening to Prabhupada initially, because his accent is so thick, it wasn't easy to understand. And you go to other people because it's easier to understand them. But as you start listening to Prabhupada slowly and slowly, over time, then you realize whatever he's saying in the tone that he's saying, it's like message coming from the top. So just take that. Acceptance becomes easier listening to Prabhupada directly.
exactly. Yeah. That's the relationship you should develop with Prabhupada because he is our preeminent Siksha Guru. He is our Siksha Guru. So the first relationship starts with Prabhupada, then comes the other Acharyas, spiritual master. Okay, any more things? We can wind up if we don't have anything.
Just a small note, Mataji, to mention, like Palak said, we generally keep forgetting how to remember through the day. Probably, this is one thing that Srila Prabhupada ji has mentioned, that, we should make Krishna a part of our life, not a part. Right? So any small thing that we do, I'm trying to inculcate him in that. Like sometimes when we are cooking, you don't have time, but what are you doing while cooking? You can listen. So listen to bhajans. When you're traveling, chant or just read something on your phone. Nowadays, Vanipedia is so easier, right? To read something. Just do something like that. When you're upset, we are all instruments like of God. Something's happening, and that is also a plan of Krishna. So maybe he's testing on how you're going to react in certain ways or situations. So it's okay, do your part in that situation, but then take some time, take a break, go down, reflect, have that conversation with Krishna, like, why did this happen today? What are you trying to teach me? I've tried started to do that right now, and sometimes things make sense, sometimes things don't make sense, but at least you're taking that time off and trying to realize Krishna. You're like making him a part of every feeling that you have through your day is very important,
Yes,
right?
Avadana
So
Krishna is very important, very nice, Priyanka.
yeah, so
Very
it's
good.
Mataji Priyanka, well, to everyone, but I wanted to share, like, I've been listening for probably like 6 years, the Mahabharat. As soon as I get in my car, it just starts playing. So it just like I've been listening to just because it's so much information. So I just let it keep playing over and over. So like you said, it's so easy now with in technology. Yeah, it's easy to scroll, or it's easy to put on a YouTube video about somebody, Prabhupada doing a lecture, all of these things, right? So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
share.
thank you all for sharing.
Just a
Okay,
quick thing, Matai, sorry.
yes, please.
The morning walk by Srila Prabhupada, the meaning of supreme. What is the meaning of the supremacy in this material world? Why do you accept President Nixon as the supreme person within your state? Dr. Singh is answering because he has some power. And Srila Prabhupada says, yes. And why he is supreme? Because as a government servant, he gets the highest salary, he has all the best facilities, and his order is final. He has, and Singh is saying he has the power to convince others. And Srila Prabhupada says, no, you may not agree with him, but because he is supreme, you have to accept his order. So, supreme means you cannot contradict, but agree and obey.
Yes, agree and obey. Yeah, thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, yeah, so we'll conclude here today. We'll meet next this Sunday. Okay, thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavi ki jai. Shri Prabhupada. A wonderful rest of the night, evening, and
Okay.
Hare Krishna.